Okay, I think it is a good time to start now. So welcome everyone to Skills Quest, webinar number 11. I am Hio and I'm going to be your moderator for today's session. And I am very excited to have Thuy Pham as our speaker today. And she's going to walk us through on how to build your online personal brand. And I think that is such an important skill to have, especially in this digital world. So before I hand over the exciting part to Thuy, I'm going to do a quick round of introduction about our campaign and about who we are. So Skills Quest is organized by Vietpro. We are an organization based in the UK with the main mission to connect the Vietnamese professionals in the UK, while at the same time providing the support to our student community in their career orientation. And we are also very active in our community activity to give back to the society. And Skills Quest is one of our efforts to do so. And when we organize Skills Quest, we have two main objectives in mind. Firstly, it is to help you, our audience, power up your skills. And we do this by organizing 12 webinars from May to June, led by our very knowledgeable speakers. And we would cover three main themes, being personal development, lifestyle and well-being, and creativity. Our second objective, equally important, is to support those in need. And we have set a target of £3,000 for this campaign, all of which would be donated to the emergency appeal by Blue Dragon Children's Foundation. And for those who are new to our campaign, you might ask yourself, who are Blue Dragon? So Blue Dragon is a non-profit organization founded in 2003. And since then, they have become such a powerful force on the street of Vietnam, both in the busy cities and in the rural areas where poverty is unfortunately very widespread. And what they do is that they provide the families and the children in crisis a chance to turn their lives around. And their role is becoming increasingly important, especially in this difficult time. Vietnam undoubtedly has been very successful at containing the pandemic, but our economic condition is suffering more than ever. And it is those who are already vulnerable that they are being pushed to their breaking points at the moment. And as a matter of fact, since the beginning of the pandemic, Blue Dragon has met twice the number of children sleeping rough on the streets. And they have also received calls for help from 31 girls and women trapped in sexual slavery. And sadly, this number is still rising. And they have also seen double the number of families seeking emergency food aid. And because of this, they have initiated the emergency appeal to seek for the resource available to help these people. And we believe that this is such an heroic initiative to have, because in such a time of deep crisis like this, it is not waiting for a cure or waiting for a vaccine is not the only solution. It is our unity to support each other. That is the way we move forward. So with this in mind, we are calling out to you, our audience, to help in any way you can, and to make a donation to the emergency appeal, no matter how small. Anything would be appreciated. And so the next question would be, how can you donate? You can do it in two ways. Firstly is to scan the QR code on my slide here using your phone camera. As you swipe it through it, the link to our fundraising page would automatically pop up. And you can also just simply follow the link on the chat section that we are going to post very shortly. And I think we have come so far, and we have managed to raise, well, 79% of our target. So massive thank you to those who have already donated. Your help is greatly appreciated. And equally, we would also want to thank those who have helped us make this campaign happen. So those are our partners, the Overseas Vietnamese, the Vietnam Finance Society, and Vietnamese Family Partnership. So they have helped us tremendously to spread the words of our campaign. And we would also want to thank our art directors and designer, Sun Fan and Gideon, who are responsible for our beautiful design. And lastly, before I hand over to Thuy, just some quick simple house rules, just so we are aligned. So throughout the webinar, only the hosts and speakers would have their audio and screens enabled. Saying that, you are more than welcome to participate on the webinar by submitting your burning questions to the Q&A section, or you could just simply share your thoughts or maybe your knowledge in the chat section. Remember to chat to all panelists and participants so everyone can see your chat. At the end of the webinar, we're going to have a Q&A session where you can ask your question to Thuy, our speaker. Remember to upvote the questions that resonates with you, because we would prioritize answering those questions. And if you leave your name with the questions, then we would enable you to speak directly to Thuy to ask a question. So how exciting is that? So I think that's it in terms of housekeeping. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over the exciting part to Thuy to walk us through on how to build our online personal brand. You have my keen ears as well. So Thuy, take it away.
Thanks, Hio. I'm gonna quickly share a screen.
Yep.
Can you all see my screen?
Yep, I can see it. Very
Perfect.
beautiful slide.
So hi everyone, thank you for joining me and Vietpro today on 11th webinar. Before I'm gonna start, I'd like to give a big thanks to Vietpro for their time into organizing this amazing initiative and the webinars they've been hosting so far. So I'm here today to be talking about how to build your online personal brand and improve your online image. So before I'm gonna go into my presentations, I'd like to run a quick poll. So here, if you can run the first poll, just for me to understand how many of you here have personal brand. So here should launch the poll for you, so you're going to be able to vote for it. Here.
Okay, I'm launching a poll right now, so you should see a pop-up.
So it's a simple questions, yes, maybe, or no, whether you have a personal brand already or not.
Okay, let's give people a few seconds to make up their mind. I see it's still changing, so.
What is your answer here? Do you have a personal brand?
That's a tricky question, to be honest. I think I would say maybe. I have a perceived personal brand, but I don't know how my friends or my colleagues think of my brand. But yeah, I would say maybe.
Cool, let's see what others say.
Okay, I'm gonna end the poll and show the result now. Boom.
Cool, that's a mixture of people who do have, maybe, and no. That's a good, quite equal mixture. So whether you're looking to build a brand or not, you all have one. Because in this digital age, we all have one or more social accounts on social platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or even TikTok. TikTok is becoming a big social media platform nowadays. So social media has given us such a good opportunity and a place for us to grow ourselves, to represent ourselves, to promote ourselves, and to connect with each other. And whether we're using one social media account more often than the other, or we might not be active as much as other people, the things we're already sharing, the things we're already creating on them, or the things that we are interacting with each other, it kind of builds a narrative about yourself, about who you are, what you like, or what you do. So as much as it's important for us to behave offline somewhere and think about how we're acting, it is also important to think about how we are behaving online. So I know that personal branding is such a big terminology that it can mean a lot of things to each one of us. So in this webinar, I would like to run a brief introduction to what personal branding is, some advantages, why it actually matters, and why you should have a strong and good personal branding, focusing on digital channels. And then some key takeaways for you to start thinking and potentially build or reshape your personal branding. And then we're gonna end up with some Q&A if there are any questions. So just a little heads up, this session is not gonna be about how to build your perfect profile picture or the do's and don'ts of social media, because I think we do have some certain degree of professionalism and experience with social media that we don't need the level of guidance. But if you do have any questions around that, feel free to ask and I'm happy to chat with that. Also, I wanted to say that everything that I'm gonna share and I'm gonna cover in this presentation is from my personal view and experience from a number of years in blogging and content creation. So before I'm gonna start, I'd like to quickly introduce myself for those who don't know about me. So my name is Thuy and I'm currently based in London. I work full-time as a digital consultant, focusing on project and product management. And on the side, I am running my side hustle in blogging, photography, and marketing studio, as I found love between bridging the gap between digital creativity and business. So without any further ado, let's have a look into how to build your online personal brand. But before we're gonna answer the how, we should ask the what. So what is personal branding? If you're gonna Google up what is online personal branding, you're gonna come across so many definitions out there, and here are 2 examples of them. But in a nutshell, online personal branding is the way how you present yourself online. It is the way how people remembers you. It is your reputation. So think about it as an impression that you are trying to give when you are out physically among your friends, peers, colleagues, or with strangers, or wherever you are. People will judge, people will make their opinion, and they do them fairly quickly based on what you are wearing, how you act, how you dress, and so on. So the same behavior applies online as well. So people will judge what they see online. So think about personal branding online as an extension of yourself in this digital age. It is what makes you you nowadays. And just to be clear on this, personal branding is not about how many followers you have or how many likes or comments you've got on your picture or post, or how famous you are online. It is about establishing and creating your presence and adding value in the digital sphere. So you are becoming the brand of yourself. It's like when you are applying for jobs, your CV is becoming a brand for you in that instance. And if you're a freelancer or an entrepreneur, it has never been more important for you to focus on your personal brand, because you are practically the face of your products or services. But that doesn't mean that only the ones who are freelancing or building a business are the ones who need to focus on personal branding, because all of us should do. And in next slide, I'm gonna show you a couple of reasons why you should be caring about that. But before I'll do so, I'd like to run a second poll. So here you can launch also the second poll to find out your favorite social media platform. And I know there are so many social media platforms out there, and we might be having accounts on majority of them. But if you would have to choose just one platform that you like the most, or you spend the time there the most, or you find that the most valuable content on there, which one would it be?
Nice. So I've just launched the poll. So guys, share your honest feedback.
What is your favorite social media here?
So I think my favorite, my favorite channel would be Facebook and Instagram, mainly to kind of stay connected with my friends and families, and to kind of, to keep record of my traveling, or to post pictures of any exhibition or art exhibitions that I find interesting. I think I try to keep it simple, to be honest. LinkedIn wise as well, but it's mainly for work purpose. But to be honest, I've been pretty bad at maintaining my LinkedIn profile. So what about you, Twee? You've asked me a few questions.
Well, so obviously LinkedIn is for obvious reason, for like more professional reasons. But other than that, I like Instagram as well for the same reason, to share like travels or places I've been and stuff. So like to keep it as a visual diary. But obviously like every social media serves for different purpose and we use them for different ways. But if I would have to choose one, so I think for myself, it would be Instagram.
Yeah, I actually agree. Actually, Instagram is really useful because it's a collection of pictures, right? So it's easy to form your story around that. Facebook wise, you have to scroll or quite through a long list, which I don't find useful for sharing that journey. Okay, I'm gonna end the voice.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tui, go on.
No, I was just saying that Facebook, I think it's good for chat. I think like it's a good place to keep in touch with your friends and families and stuff. But yeah, let's see. Others.
Yeah, Facebook Messenger is definitely the main way we communicate these days, or I communicate these days.
Sure, same.
Let's see what people think.
Same, Instagram.
Facebook and Instagram.
15% and Facebook 39%. Surprisingly, there's no one interested in TikTok, even though it's becoming big now. But yeah, whatever the reasons behind you choosing the platform, or whether it's a place where you find the most valuable content, or it's a place where your friends are, or where you enjoy spending the procrastination time. I hope that after these sessions, you're gonna relook into social media from a different perspective than it's just a fun platform or like a platform where you spend your procrastinating time. So moving on, we're gonna look into why it actually matters to have a strong and good personal brand. So not only there are so many tools and resources out there that can help you to shape your brand, but there are so many advantages that comes with it. It is also important to have a vision and a goal in mind to unlock all the benefits, because all the benefits is dependable on your goals basically. So I've listed a couple of advantages here that a strong personal branding online can bring you. And for example, it can open up your opportunity for monetizing your content. So whether you have a good skill set, so why not to start freelancing or build a product or service that you can sell to others, or you can promote on behalf of a brand on your channels, or you can build up on affiliates links and so on. So there are so many ways now how you're gonna be able to monetize through a strong personal brand. Other benefits is, for example, for your career growth. So whether you are looking for new jobs or landing interviews or just trying to climb a career ladder, keeping a strong personal brand can help you motivate it towards your goal. It can open up your networking circles, or it can establish yourself as a thought leader or an influencer in a given niche or expertise. Other ways how personal branding can benefit you is the opportunities to collaborate and partner up with other individuals or other brands. And there are so many more benefits and opportunities that strong personal branding can bring you. You can learn new skills, you can test your knowledge, you can help each other, and so on. So think about when few years back, when social media wasn't a thing. Now with this digital age and access to social media so easily, everybody can become an influencer. Everybody can share an expertise in something. Everybody can share their knowledge and their view on something. So why not to utilize this opportunity and help each other and share our views and opinions and thoughts and knowledge to others. So remember that it is your reputation. So don't let others to narrate your story. And each interactions you are having with each one of us can lead to an opportunity. So building a strong personal brand can define your individuality. You can maximize your strengths. And who knows, you can land a next job opportunity, or you can foster a valuable connections, or you can unlock your future opportunities on there. So definitely keep building and unlock all the benefits that can bring it to you. So now I've been talking about what is personal branding, why is it important, and I'd like to see why it actually matters to you. So I'm gonna run the last poll here to see why do you care about your personal brand based on this slide. So Hugh, if you can also launch the last poll.
Yep, I've just launched the last poll.
I believe that here you are able to choose as many answers as you can. Just correct me if that's wrong here, but yeah, people should be able
you should be able to choose multiple answer. So yeah,
to
feel free to pick everything as well, if that applies to you.
I think you should have a vision in your mind and like why do you want to build a personal brand and like and go towards it. But here, do you have like what would you pick or like what are you picking?
That's interesting. There's so many options. I think to some level, all of these applies to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to narrow down my my choices here because well, the two answer that I think resonates really well with me would be the fourth one, collaboration and partnership opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
and the next one would be to expand my skills and knowledge. To give you some kind of context, the first one, collaboration, partnership, and opportunity, is quite related to my line of work at the moment. So I'm a consultant and my work is very project-based. I switch project every 3 months or so. So I think it is really essential to build my own personal brand within the company so that I could be more visible to the wider professional group out there. So it's just more handy when I have to choose the right project for me. So, and the second one, to expand my skills and knowledge. I think it comes down mainly to my to brand awareness, because what I found is that when I look into my personal brand, I think I also start to look at others' brand as well and understand what their different skills and knowledge are. And through that process, it just gives me a better map of all the available skill set and knowledge out there. So it definitely helps me to kind of decide what's my next skill or knowledge I should further develop for myself. So I think, yeah, that's very personal for me. So, what about you?
Yeah, for me, I think like the partnerships, collaboration opportunities is big for me because I started as a blogger and photographer. So I think like an opportunity to meet the other people and able to collaborate with them and expand, and obviously it links to expand the networking skills. So that's quite useful for me because I'm able to like learn from other people and tap into wider audience from other people as well, not only from my audience. And also like it's always important to like see, as you mentioned, like to see their skills and experiences, and in order to collaborate we are sharing the knowledge and we are sharing the same vision or like working towards the common goal. So I think that's quite useful. And I think life is always about keep learning. So you keep learning from other people, you keep learning not only at work or at uni or wherever you are, but also like being online and learning on yourself and improving your personal growth. So that's a learning curve as well.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think as you work more, especially when you work more in a team, you have to kind of be more aware of different of others and different expertise and skill set, and that's just kind of that's along the way with understanding their personal brand and discovering your own as well. So,
Yeah. As
yeah,
you mentioned, as a consultant, it's always important to foster a relationship within the company, but also like outside, you can bring new business opportunities for your team or for your business. So it's always a growth and win-win situations.
yeah, definitely. Before sharing this, the poll, I have a very interesting story to tell on the collaboration and partnership and the importance of personal brand as well, because it kind of touched on the point that you earlier mentioned. So I think outside of the corporate ladder, it's very important to build your personal brand so that you are more visible to your potential partners. And part of my work, well, I was involved in, well, in a consultancy company. I was involved in an initiative to kind of understand the marketplace out there and to understand what our potential partners would be next. So I did get involved in an exercise to kind of stalk the C-suite level on their LinkedIn profile, or maybe even their Facebook profile, to understand their background and maybe their organization's priorities. So bear in mind that at some point in time, someone is going to look you up. And I think it's really important to maintain that digital branding properly so that you can give them a good first impression.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the stalking story from my professional career. So no shame on that. Okay, I'm going to share the poll results. We have very interesting answers here.
Have you shared the answers? I can't see.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I was just sharing for myself. Sorry, a bit greedy.
Yeah, no, it's in. Yeah, so majority people. So it's career growth, networking, and collaborations, as we said. Yeah. Yeah, so following up on your story on LinkedIn stalking as well. So I think that's quite common that people will look through LinkedIn and look through. It's basically like your CV, and you can cross-link through other work or projects that you worked on that you might not mention on your CV and so on. And I think, you know, a title as a consultant or CEO of something, it doesn't tell people who you are basically. So I think personal brand that's why important, because you show who you truly are, what your likes are, what are your passions and like your interests, the way of working and stuff like this, because the titles nowadays, it's so amplified that it doesn't really tell people who you actually are. So I think that's why building a personal brand on top of your good work title is important. Cool. So now, sorry?
Okay, no, I was just agreeing with you wholeheartedly.
Cool. So I hope we are getting closer to understand why having a good personal brand is important. So now we're gonna go into answering the how. So how to build your online personal brand. So keep referring to professional life. So if you're a recruiter and you're looking through hundreds and thousands of CVs, you're probably not gonna read carefully all of them. You're gonna skim through them. You're gonna look for the layout of it, the keywords that match to the job spec. You're gonna potentially read the short profile and bio about your candidate and so on. So you basically have very short window to make an impression, and the short window to make an impression applies online as well, because nowadays people have short attention span. They click through things, they scroll through things, they tap through things very quickly, and we just need to make an impression very quickly. So I'd like to share a few of my steps, or a few steps to make you think and potentially do something about your personal brand and to make a better impression and amplify your profile. I bucked it up into 5 groups. They are very high level and very basic, but I hope they will give you a good foundation to start thinking into auditing yourself and your brand. So firstly, we're gonna be looking into knowing yourself. So asking questions like who you are, what are your strengths? Then we'll look into your existing digital footprint. And then we're gonna look into your goals. Why do you want to build a personal brand? What do you want to achieve from that? Then choosing the right platform to achieve your goals. And then lastly, we're gonna look into planning your content around your brand. So first of all, so the one important things to ask before you would start even thinking and building your personal brand is, who am I? So who are you? Do an inventory of yourself and ask questions like, what skills and credentials do you have? What are you passionate about? What are your interests? What values and beliefs do you have? What do you excel at? Do you have any interesting and unique story to tell to others that can add value? And again, I think the definitions of what's unique and inspiring for me might be different to you and vice versa. And especially you might think that you don't have any unique story to share because you've been living it every day. So nothing is unique for you, but others might be going through the same situations or sharing the same experience as you. So start from very basic and think about things that people can relate to easily. Things like tell a story about you moving abroad, or tell your story about your uni life or your first job, or your sustainable life, or anything that interests you and people can easily relate to, because people are looking for relatable content. They are looking for human connection. They're looking for raw and real emotional stuff. And if you're struggling with it, you can ask your friends and family as well. So ask them, how do they perceive you? Because sometimes the way how others perceive you might be totally different from how you perceive yourself or how you think about yourself. So you might get some insightful things that you didn't knew about yourself before. So don't be afraid to ask how they perceive you. So just to be clear on this, your personal brand is much more than the reflection of you now, because personal brand is something, an ongoing process, a roadmap of yourself to the future. So it is okay if you're going to change your personal brand in a couple months time or in a year's time, because you as a person will grow, your career will grow, your opinions and hobbies might change, your values might differ a bit. So your personal brand will evolve at the time. So by knowing your strengths and weakness, your goals and your values, you can uncover skills and knowledge that you need to improve on or gain in order to get to where you want to get to. And who knows, you can land your next job opportunity or foster a valuable connections through a good personal brand. So I'd like to run a quick task. So if you have a pen and paper nearby, list down 5 of your career strengths, skills, and interests. So doing a reflection on myself, as I mentioned, I started my digital journey as a photographer. So I do like visual content, aesthetics, and imageries. I've studied digital marketing, or like I studied marketing at uni, and I do enjoy keeping in touch with trends in consumer behavior and with the digital market landscape. I would say that I am an organized person. I plan my content ahead. And I would say that I am practical as well. So I do enjoy learning the tips or the know-hows from others and sharing the same things to others. So try to think about yourself. And I know that it's not an easy task, and you may need a bit more time, but it's something for you to think about even after this webinar, because we're gonna run through a couple of tasks like this. So have your pen and paper nearby so you can log down the questions and answers of yourself. Next, we're gonna look into cleaning up your digital footprint. So have you ever tried to Google up yourself? I did. For this presentation, I did try to Google up my name, and especially for Vietnamese, it might be difficult, because we are sharing common names and common surnames as a lot of us. So it might be difficult to find out the valuable content around yourself, but try to put your name in a quotation mark and conduct a search. Have a look through the search result, the images that are there. The result depends how active you've been in the past. So if you've been very active, you might be finding old social accounts that you've opened up years ago that you have no clue that you still have, or articles that maybe someone shared about you that you have no idea. So who knows what you can find. A little tip here. So there's a Google alert if you haven't heard about it. It's basically, you can set up a notification on your name or any keywords that you are interested in, and it will always notify you if there's any new content on the web about the keyword that you've saved for. So as mentioned, I did a little digging up about myself while doing this presentation. And I found out that I had Flickr accounts or Behance account when I started my photography journey. And I mean, it is nice to always see your back in the past, what work you've done and how you started and so on. But those stuff are not relevant anymore. And I think it is good to clean them up and if possible, delete the accounts or update the informations or update the accounts. Because one thing to remember is that personal brand is created by you. So don't make irrelevant things or irrelevant informations to narrate your current self. So make sure to, if you are possible, so try to clean up your digital presence as much as you can, so you can start from fresh or start from the most up-to-date information about yourself now. Then we are looking into your goals. Ask yourself question why. Why do you want a personal brand? What is your purpose? Like, what do you want to be known for? What is your mission? What do you want to accomplish? What motivates you? Who do you want to influence? Are they recruiters? Are they your peers? Are they your existing colleagues? Are they clients? Try to create a bigger picture of your life. So I'm sure that all of us should have like a short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. So see how social media can appropriately help you to reach those goals. So for example, if you are building a personal brand around your expertise, for example, if you are a photographer as well, so you want a place to share your work, to share your vision, to share your aesthetics, and consequently, you want a place where your clients can contact you or to attract new clients. So ask yourself, what do you want to achieve from this, from building your personal branding? Are you trying to make a profitable brand, or are you trying to raise an awareness that is close to you? Are you building a new product or service that you need to build a brand on? Or are you trying to build a reputation in a certain community or industry that you are working on or passionate about? Or you might be switching careers or just want to build up on your hobby. So whatever the reason is, be clear about it and set a goal that you're going to work throughout the time. And as mentioned before, it is okay that your goal is going to change throughout the time, or if your personal brand is going to slightly change, because we develop, our careers might change, our personality might change. So we might be able to tailor the personal brand accordingly throughout the time. But at the moment, if you're working towards something, be clear about it. That takes us to our next task. So try to list down 1 or 2 objectives that you would like to build your online personal brand on. I know that you might be needing a bit more time to think about it because not everyone comes to the session with knowing what they want to build a personal brand on or not. But try to think, what are you trying to achieve? To give you an example of myself, so I started, as I mentioned, as a photographer, so I needed a place to share my work. And naturally, I wanted to attract new clients. And when I started my blogging journey, then I wanted to collaborate with brands and with other creatives for collaborations or for partnerships or just to foster relationships. And then consequently, I wanted to inspire and share my passions in traveling with other like-minded people. I would say that these goals are it just determines it kind of helps me to determine the platforms that I'm gonna be sharing my content on, but also it will determine what I'm gonna do next. So I wouldn't say that these are like long-term goals, but more like short-term and medium. Moving on to finding the right platform for yourself. Audit yourself what platforms you currently have, where you are active. Ask yourself whether you'd like to keep those platforms for your personal brand or you would like to establish new ones. Nowadays, it's okay to have one personal profile and one public one if you prefer that way, or if you prefer to have your hobby one different to your personal one. So it doesn't matter the way how you do it, but just be clear about where you post, because you don't want to be posting to random various things on one account, because it will confuse your audience and you're not true to your goal. Then also it's worth to look, where are your audience? So if you have audiences and they prefer video content, then try to move yourself to YouTube or to TikTok or to other video platforms rather than staying on visual platforms like Instagram or Pinterest. Or if you prefer of writing articles, then create a blog or create a website or contribute to some blog that are out there already. Then ask yourself, what type of content do you prefer? So do you prefer visual content, videos? Do you prefer writing articles? Do you prefer more industry specific pages? So there are many different type of content that you can focus on. And then last question is about how many platforms you should be keeping. Again, it's very up to you and up to your goals, because it really depends on how much time and how much effort you want to be putting into keep up to date and being consistent across all the channels that you will have for your personal brand. So you might start with one and then slowly move to others, or you might start with as many as you can and then slowly narrow it to one. So it really depends on your approach and like how you prefer doing it. For myself, my main platforms is my blog, my website, and my Instagram. But that doesn't mean that I don't have a social accounts on other platforms like Facebook, or I started even YouTube, but those accounts is just like not very kept up to date. Yeah, so I think those three are my main channels. So what about you? Like, list all your social media platforms that you currently have an account, and circle the ones that you think that you'd like to build your personal brand on. And then lastly, we are looking into content. So content in marketing is king. Stick to what makes you happy, stick to what you're good at, and most importantly, stick to your goals. Think about the content type and the content where you are gonna share and which platform. Create the content that is tailored to yourself, to your goals, and to the audience to add value. Make sure to be consistent across channels, whether you have more channels or not. Be consistent with the time. So like, don't try out something just for 1 week or just for 1 month and then you give up. So be patient, because building a personal brand is throughout the time. It's nothing that you will reach and that's it. And make sure to add value to the audience. That leaves us to the last task. So if you can list down what type of content would suit your goal. So as mentioned earlier, the brand is you. So build your personal brand on your strengths, your interests, your goals, and sell yourself through your authenticity and good intentions. A strong personal brand is very clear, cohesive, and consistent, and tailors and serves to a specific audience. And I've been asked a couple times, what does it mean to have a good personal branding, or like, how does it look like to have a good personal brand? And I wouldn't say that there's a good checklist, whether it will determine you have a good or bad branding, because it really depends on your goal. It depends on your audience, because we are not tailored to be served. We are not tailoring our content to everyone. So having a good brand can mean a nicely aesthetic feed. It can mean that you might have a messy feed, but with very strong and educative and informative content that you are sharing. It can mean that you might have very minimal content in it, but the content that you are sharing have very strong message. So it really depends on the goal and the value you are giving through it. But I do have some examples for you, what personal branding can look like. So here are a few examples. So the first one is an interactive CV from Robbie Leonardi that I found another day. So he is a graphic designer, and he was able to share his skills through making a website, that is interactive resume, and he make it as a interactive video games for others. So I think it's a good, strong personal brand because it's entertaining, it stands out from the crowd, it's branded, and it's showcases skills. Other good personal brand is, for example, Elon Musk. I'm sure everybody knows him. he himself is not afraid to share personal thoughts and be personal on social media. So I think he builds a very strong personal brand that helps his company to save so much budget from marketing and advertising, I guess. Other example is this guy called Gary Vaynerchuk. He is the CEO and co-founder of his digital agency Vayner Media. But at the same time, he is a public figure, a marketing expert, and he's known for interviews and podcasts with other small business owners or other people, and he's sharing his insights, his opinions on various different topics. So even though his feed might be very it depends. For me, it's very flashy and there's a lot of things going on, but his content are valuable and his message is clear. And the last example is just a simple example of a nicely visual aesthetic feed that nowadays it's popular, especially on Instagram. But if you have something that people find a value in it, they will of course follow you. Coming now to the conclusion, I hope it is getting a bit clearer and more convincing for you why it is important to invest your time in building your online personal brand. It gives the opportunity to highlight your strengths and your passion, and it builds trust from others. So it helps people to believe that they know you better, basically. So being yourself is the biggest opportunity because the product is at the bottom line being you. So make sure to match your actions with your personal branding, because you don't want to oversell yourself, or you don't want to say something that is untrue to yourself. So be proactive, be ambitious, don't be afraid to reach out. And the bottom line is that online personal branding is just one extension of yourself. So be sure that whatever you do online matches to do what you do offline. And the last slide, I just wanted to sum up with some tools and resources that might help you to look into your own personal brand. So I've been recommended this book by called Strength Finder from Gallup. They do also online tests that can uncover your strengths, especially within the workspace. And there are so many other personality tests that can be taken for free online, but they might not be as in-depth, but it also give you a good indicators of yourself if you need. The PwC Personal Brand Workbook and the Mind Tool Personal Branding Toolkit are worksheets similar to the tasks that we've done earlier, but much more in depth. They will be asking you about your personal self, about your goals, about your vision, and so on. So if you do have time, you can print it out and try to fill it in and audit yourself and think about your goals. And the 3 tools that I've listed here on the left, Hootsuite and Later, is social media planning and scheduling tools in case that you'd like to plan your content ahead, or it helps you with planning, not only to visually see, but also to help with your time, with time management. And Canva is the tool to create quickly branded assets for those who don't know graphic design or who need something to create quickly and nice. So I think that's a nice free tools to use and to have a look. So that's coming to the end of my presentation. So thank you for listening. And I'm gonna hand over back to Hyo.
Hey, thanks, Thuy. Just before we finish this slide, I think I find one point really interesting from your previous slide, Thuy, on if you go back to that, it is on the Strength Finder 2.1. Yeah, that one. On the Strength Finders 2.1 from Gallup, because the name Gallup just reminds me of an assessment that I did back in my company at the moment. And I think that is a really good exercise or a really good assessment to do, because it tells basically you would have how it works is that it would ask you a few questionnaires, and then you would be able to tell what kind of your top strengths would be. And I find it's really useful to kind of understand, well, to have your strength validated by an assessment, because because oftentimes we are very easily distracted by our weakness and only focusing on improving that weakness. But it's, yeah, as I say, it's very easy to prioritize those weaknesses and forget about the strength that we already have, and to further deepen that strength. And I think that is such an important thing to do, because you have to build your own competitive advantage, instead of just focusing on your weakness. I found that.
Yeah, true. And I think nowadays it's popular by companies to do one of those strength tests before you join, or like on your first day when you join, because it basically uncover your strengths that you didn't know yourself, or it will allow employers to know more about yourself, and you will know about your colleagues as well. So I think that's being popular nowadays to do. So definitely check that test out as well.
Yeah, I 100% recommend as well. So I think, okay, Thuy, you are finished, right? So I think firstly, thank you, Thuy, for the incredible presentation. I know you've put a lot of time and effort into preparing the materials, and also preparing to speak to us today. So really thank you for kind of walking us through on how to build our own digital brand. And I know I have a few actions to follow up after this session to do for my own, particularly on my LinkedIn profile. And I also want to thank our audience for your incredible participation. I can see a number of Q&A questions. So we're gonna we're gonna answer your burning questions very shortly. Before we do that, I just want to remind you that if you find this webinar useful for you, we would encourage you to make a donation to the Emergency Appeal by Blue Dragon Children Foundation, to provide them with the resource available to help those in need. And we're going to post the link to our fundraising page in the chat section very shortly. So I think with that in mind, let's dive into the next exciting part, the Q&A section. Shall we, Thuy?
Yeah, sure.
So I can see, okay. Everyone, there's still time for you to upvote the questions that resonate with you. But for now, I'm going to go from the top to bottom in terms of order. So the first question is anonymous. I would encourage anyone who's posting new questions to put their name down, and but you can ask directly your question to Thuy as well. So that would be more exciting, I think. So the first question for Thuy, you, is firstly thanks again for the webinar. And the question is, could you tell us more about your project, Thuy? And how would you describe your online brand?
Yeah, so I think as I started, I did not intentionally thought about building my personal brand, because at the time I just did not knew what is it. So I started my hobby in photography and just wanted a place online somewhere to share my pictures and to share it to my friends and potentially like share it to other people. And from there, I think it kind of picks that up. So from word to mouth to strangers approaching me to take pictures and so on, I kind of started to realize that having a digital presence is important. And I wanted to shape it in the way to showcase what is my vision and what is my aesthetics and so on. I think, how would I describe my brand? I don't know. I think like as I mentioned, I like aesthetic vision. So I prefer photos instead of videos much more. I prefer showing pictures and making a bit of captions, showcasing the thoughts behind the pictures, or the thoughts of the locations of the thing that you are sharing. I don't know, it's pretty hard to describe my personal brand, I guess. yeah, I guess like you can check my social profiles to see like my aesthetics or like my profiles, but I'm trying to keep it real. I don't overdo through filters or keeping consistent, or like I need to share this in order to match it to my field, to my the next picture that I have, or to match it to the colors that I have on the feed. Um, for me, like my blog is the main channel, so I try to keep my Instagram alongside the blog, whatever I post. So it's more about the content rather than having it nicely laid out.
That is very interesting, and I think I kind of agree with you on the part. It's very difficult to assess our own digital brand. It's a very difficult exercise, to be honest. And I think that maybe one of the things that could help, which I haven't done before, but probably I should do this after the webinar, is to maybe ask our friends on their perception of our own personal brand. I think I'm gonna start asking that questions to a few of my friends after this session to see what they think about, because I honestly don't have a strong feeling about my personal brand as well.
Yeah, I think it's often good to be asking that more often, because whatever you think that is good might be other people have different perceptions on that.
Yeah. Okay, so next question. Very short and sharp. How could you find your audience for your, well, I would assume for your personal brand?
So friends is always a good start. There are so many other communities and other groups that you can join, and I wouldn't say promote yourself, but like speak up, because if you are passionate about something, then like you can obviously find the communities nowadays much easily on Facebook groups, or through hashtags, or through recommendations by others, or just by searching them online. So there are so many Facebook groups, or Twitter is quite good for community building as well. You need to be consistent with what you like and be active on those platforms. And I think it's naturally, like, obviously apart from like the paid advertising and paying for your banners and PPC and so on in order to push yourself out there, you can do it organically just by being active and building your community around. So join as many as you can and be active on them, basically. And like if you're out there, talk about yourself. Personal branding goes beyond online as well, so it's about you can make business cards, or you can build your brochures if you need to, or anything like this, in order to like reach out offline as well.
Interesting. Next question. I think the next question also, thank you for the person who asked the question, because that definitely resonates with me as well. I'm myself is also an introvert. So the question is, do you have any tips for introverts who are normally quite hesitant to build online personal brand? So keen ears.
I would say I am pretty introvert as well. Like, I'm not the type of person that I would go out there and shout out about myself, or to be talkative about things that I enjoy. So I think that's why I found online channels to be able. So that's why I found like photos, or like the digital platforms, and like establishing blog as a good way for me to speak up, because I can release anything that I have in mind, and all my thoughts out there without facing anyone, or being able to people judging me or something like this. So I think if you're introvert, like do start your own blog, or start writing up your thoughts. Share them online, share them among your friends, share them with other people. So I think that's a good way, because you're not facing anyone, you're just facing yourself at that moment. So I think digital channels are great for introvert to open up themselves.
Yeah, that's interesting. What I think what I could, well, the one point that I would like to chip in is maybe if you are not feeling comfortable or kind of speaking out about your personal brand, about your strength, which I think many introverts find difficult, like myself as well, is that you could maybe look well look to share that with your close friends, because that's provide you with a much safer environment. And once you build that confidence, I think that will be a lot easier to share your personal brand to the wider community as well. So
Yeah.
baby step first.
Yeah, and especially if you are passionate about something, about your hobby or any particular issue, you find the community around you that is passionate about the same thing. So you will easily loosen up yourself, and you can easily talk about it without being afraid that they don't understand you or they don't know what you're talking about. So I think like finding the right community and like being true to yourself with the passion, and like you slowly open up and you're not gonna be afraid to talk up.
Very nice. So next question, I'm gonna invite Nam Nguyen to speak directly to Thuy. Nam, since in our webinar, we have two Nam Nguyen, so I'm gonna allow both of you to speak, but the one with the question, please speak up, okay? Okay. Nam, you can unmute yourself now and ask your question to Thuy.
Hey guys.
Nam, hey, sorry, before you ask a question, could you give a bit of introduction about yourself and where you are at the moment?
Hi. First of all, thank you guys for organizing this event. This is really, really helpful. So I'm currently based in Houston, and I'm trying to develop my own personal brand on Instagram. And I just like to ask, like, when you're just like starting out, like, do you think it's more important to prioritize quantity of your content over quality?
That's interesting question. I would say quality is important, because if you're just sharing something that doesn't add value to the community or add value to your audience, then it's pointless. Try to structure like how many times you are able to post weekly. Like, are you able to do one post per day? Are you able to create like, or 3 times per week, or how many times you're going to be able to create that valuable content? And as mentioned earlier, I like to plan my content because it takes time to think about what content is really valuable or insightful, rather than just posting for the sake of posting, that you need to stay active or just to match your grid or whatever the reason people can be posting nowadays. So I think quality is important, and think about what value that brings to users. But at the same time, try to post as often as you can to keep up to date, because nowadays Instagram algorithm and with all the stuff that's happening online so quickly, then people can loosen up on who they're following. So try to post as much as often as well, but think about the quality first, I guess.
Right. Thank you for your answer. The reason I'm asking this question is because so just for more information, I'm a music creator, and often I try to curate my content to put into a video format, which takes time to edit and do all those kind of things. And currently, I'm doing a full-time job also. So like, it's often hard for me to juggle all these things together. And I'm just starting out, and I'm not really good at creating videos. And in order to create something that is good looking, has like some kind of professionalism into it, it takes like 7 to 8 hours to create a video. And personally, I just feel like that kind of strays me off the track of my most important I guess like content, which is like music. So I don't know, can you just make some comment regarding to that?
So speaking personally, so I do on the side like travel and lifestyle blogging and Instagram on it. And I do plan content in advance. So if you potentially can think ahead, like couple weeks ahead, like what kind of content or like what kind of video you are gonna be able to create and share, and work much in advance before you're actually gonna go through it. Have some smaller content, or take one day just to create content, basically. Like, if video is the main thing, then try to create other things on the side, like some snippets from the video, or like just to keep your audience excited that something is coming up. So like create some graphics towards it, or try to just something small towards your final launch, I would say, if that helps you.
Thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Okay. So let's move on to the next question then. Okay, I think this one kind of relates to the previous question from Nam as well. But I thought I should just shout it out now, just in case Tweet you have any more kind of comments to help the audience. So do you think it's possible to maintain several brands across different platforms?
Definitely. Like, it takes your time and effort to take care of them. And myself, even though like I have 3 my main channels that I pay attention the most, at the same time I update the other rest of my social accounts whenever there's a new blog post or whenever I have something to share. So that's why there are so many tools out there that can help you with the time management and with scheduling, because you can post on one account and it can automatically share across all your social accounts easily. So it saves you time to go and log in to each of your accounts and post it. But at the same time, I think it's important to analyze each account and to see where's the most interactions, or where are the users most interested in. Because if you see that one account is not doing as well as others, then maybe you should rethink why it is, and maybe you should rethink your strategy and your effort to different accounts. And I know that it's intriguing to have presence on all the social media accounts out there, because people can easily find you and so on. But if they found you and you have content from years ago or outdated information, it doesn't look good either. So I think really pay attention where you want to make the effort and time into spending and creating the content on it.
Yeah, I think that is a very interesting point that you made, and it's kind of related to one of the book that I'm reading at the moment, Lean Startup, and it does mention about, well, obviously the long-term goal is obviously you want to maintain visibility across multiple platforms, right? But at the beginning, but you have to figure out if you put the effort into that, would people actually look into those many platforms? And I think it's best probably to start with a minimal viable product. So focusing on the platform that you believe that would gain the most traction, or the platform that might resonate well better with your purpose. So start with that and build on top of and yeah, you can decide to build more platforms if that is needed. So that is more of a journey instead of a hard decision at the beginning. If you decide to go for 5 different platforms at the beginning, then I think that would be a really daunting exercise to do. So that's just my thought.
I agree.
Okay, so I think we have quite a few questions left. I think we're gonna answer those questions, but before we continue on with the Q&A, let me do a quick wrap up of the webinar today, just conscious of time, and then we can continue on answering those questions. Thank you everyone for your kind of very active questionings. I'm really excited to see so many questions. So Tui, I'm going to share my screen now. Boom. Okay. So just to wrap up, again, our campaign second objective, as I mentioned, is to support those in need. So if you find this webinar useful for you, then we would encourage you to make a small donation, no matter how small, to the Blue Dragons emergency appeal. And you can do that by following the link or using this QR code here. And if you enjoy this kind of events, then please also feel free to follow our Facebook page for updates on our future events. And if you think this might be useful for your friends and your close one as well, please feel free to spread the words. We also have our recordings, so you won't miss out on our previous sessions. And for next week, we're going to have an equally exciting topic, being investing 101. So stay tuned on our Facebook page for more updates. So yeah, just short and sharp like that, I'm going to get back to the Q&A session. So let's continue on. Three, you have a really active audience today, so bear with us. Okay, so the next question would be also on anonymous. Three, do you have any tips on to make a personal brand stand out?
It really depends on the goal that you're trying to achieve and your audience. Obviously, aesthetically good-looking brand stands out the first, but at the same time, if you're not adding any values or any informative content to it, then it loses the point. So I think it really depends on your audience and value goal, I would say, but pay attention on your aesthetics, on your branding, as well as on the quality of the content that you are sharing. So there needs to be something that people can follow you for, or reshare the things that you are sharing. So I wouldn't say that there's like one answer, because it really depends.
Yeah, I agree 100% as well. It depends. I think it depends heavily, obviously, on the topic that you are trying to stand out, and your kind of characteristic as well that you want to showcase. So
yeah, and we are not trying to attract to everyone. So what's appealing for me might not be appealing for you. So it really depends on your audience and understanding what they like, what kind of topic they like, and try to create the contents to them and to your goals.
yeah, I think just one quick thought coming to mind is that I think it could just be simple as being authentic. And I know that sounds kind of a cliche, but recently I figured out that, okay, I'm no professional in posting Instagram stories on my traveling, right? But I've done that quite often previously. And it's just for my own purpose. And what I found is that I've received well, more than a few questions from my friends in terms of tips or maybe like tips on traveling, or like tips for their next trip. So I didn't intentionally build out that personal brand of me, but people kind of still see it as my brand for some reason. So I think it's being authentic that is key.
Yeah, definitely. Like, people want to be able to relate to you. They're looking for some raw content and human thing in it.
Okay, next one. So, okay, next one is from Sĩ Anh Nguyễn. Sĩ Anh, I'm going to enable you to speak. So, hold on. Sĩ Anh, you should be able to unmute yourself now and ask your question.
Hi, Thuy. So I want to ask you, how can I build up a content continuously, but still authentically? Because I also follow some people who create their content very consistently, but somehow in some point I will feel like, oh, they try so hard and the content is not authentic anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So consistency is either through your visual. So if you're consistent with your brand colors or brand imagery, so that's one way of consistency. Consistency is also how often you post. So whether you post on weekly basis or more often than 1 week, or how often, because people, if they know that like on Wednesday you usually post a video about something, then they will follow up and they will know that there's something new content from you. So it's a building consistency with your posts, and being consistent is also true to your goals, what you're trying to achieve, and the reasons why people are following you. So like, let's instance, if I am building my Instagram on traveling, then I should be consistent with posting travel related content. If once I'm gonna start posting about food, so I'm gonna have too much food content, then it's not really consistent anymore, and people will lose the interest because they haven't followed me for that reason. So the consistency in your topics that you choose and you stick to it, and yeah, I mean, like if you are interested in something else, then there's no harm to create another profile and post new hobby on there, because you're trying to differentiate the different topics because people were not following you for that reason. And being authentic is to yourself and to the images that you create. So I think sometimes I'm following also someone that starts posting pictures that are too staged and it looks too fake and looks too they've been trying really hard to keep posting something. And I think like it's okay to not post 1 week for something and like keep up to date with your audience through comments or with stories or in another way. Yeah, I mean, does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense for me.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you. And I think like if I like keep discuss with people with the same mind, so I will get more inspiration for my content too.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think inspirations from your content you can get not only from what you're passionate about, but from people. Like people will tell you what they want to see. Like they will guide you basically, like I want to see more of this, or can you share us how have you done this, or like similar things. So they kind of help you to create the content, and you're going to be able to see what they're passionate about the same topic, but they will guide you with what's next.
Okay, thank you very much.
Nice.
Okay, thank you, Sian. Oops. Okay, next question. I think this is a quite a tricky one and a very interesting question as well. So the question goes, the idea of personal brand, of how people think of branding in general, is corrupted as soon as you start thinking about the audience. Intentionally or not, you essentially twist your values and use how highly people think of you or how you'd like to be seen digitally as a measurement of your own success/happiness. So what is your thought on this?
That's a long question.
I agree.
Yeah, I would say like perception of personal brand is very different, because as I mentioned, when I started my place where I posted my photography images, I didn't intentionally thought about making a personal brand out of it, but it kind of happened, and it did shape to what audience were telling me or what I saw that there was trending at the time and so on. But I think like you have to I think it's tricky. Like if some people are trying to monetize from their brand and they just doing everything in order to be able to make capital from that, then they will twist their values, they will change the directions, they will do everything that the audience want and where the money is. But if you are staying true to yourself and staying true to what you are passionate about, then it's okay to it's like it's okay to reject a job opportunity, or it's okay to reject something because it doesn't match to your values, or it doesn't match to what you think is correct. So it depends on to what level you want to go with your personal brand. And I think measuring success from personal brand, as I mentioned, I don't think measuring success from personal brand is based on your number of followers or based on how many likes or comments you've been getting. I think it's personally how much you've grown with that, and also how much you've been able to impact your audience with that, like how much value you've been given to the audience. Like if there's even like couple people sharing that it was helpful for them, for me it was a success, or it was a good content to share. So I'm not aiming to make everyone happy, but again, it's my thought on it, and I'm not a full-time blogger, or I'm not a full-time content creator. So for me, it's just doing for my passion and what my interests are.
I really like that answer, to be honest. Okay, so let's move on, conscious of time. So the next question, again, a big thank you to Three from whoever that sent this question. So the question goes, what is your opinion on formal training in graphic design to make your brand more appealing to the eye? Do you have any recommendations? Is it too costly or time demanding?
So I've gave recommendations on Canva, which is a really good place to start because it gives basically templates, and you can really drag and drop stuff. So definitely check that. You can start download like basic like Photoshop and other editing tools and start your own play around. Or if you have the time capacity and resources to ask your friends or anyone that you know that are good in graphic design, then ask them for help, because you don't want to do everything yourself, because you need to focus on the content, or you need to focus on the things that you really want to. So try to allocate the resources that you have available to others as well. But I think like throughout the time doing it myself, I've learned, like, I wouldn't say that I'm an expert in graphic design, but I've learned how to use Photoshop, or I've learned how to edit a video. And as I mentioned, it is a continuous learning new skills through building your personal brand. So Canva is a good place, but at the same time, don't be afraid to learn yourself.
Yeah, I 100% agree as well. It's impossible for one person to learn every skill set out there. So you have, it's very, back to my point previously, you have to focus more on your strength and your kind of main competitive advantage. Obviously, for example, if the graphic design should be your core competency, then yeah, formal training should be something that you consider. But if that's just like an add-on, then I personally would recommend maybe asking for help from a friend, or maybe checking out the Canva site that Thuy mentioned. I did check it out a few times, and I think it's a really user-friendly tool to have with no for users who have no experience in graphic design. They have all the templates in there, so you don't really have to learn too much to design a beautiful template, a beautiful design. So next, last questions. As an experienced blogger, could you share some advice on topic selection or how we can improve our writing skills?
So I think if you enjoy writing, then you shouldn't be limited with the topics that you like to write about. For example, if my focus is in traveling, then of course sharing tips and travel guides on the places I've been, then I can branch into like places where to eat or where to sleep, or what to pack for the destinations and stuff like this. So there's a lot of, and also like it's also useful for me to do a competitive research to see what topics are out there, what people are Googling for, what kind of keywords are popular right now. So try to have a look on others sites that you are following or other popular places where your audience are looking at as well, and see what kind of topics are out there and try to do something similar or try to advance that topic and go more in depth to it or something like this. And also I find it useful that people will kind of, if you build up your audience, then they will be able to tell you also what they want to see next. Like they will ask you questions like what things they should be packing to the destinations, or what's the best time to go there and stuff like this. So why not to pick up on those questions that people are asking you frequently and write something about it. And in order to improve your writing skills, I think it's just an ongoing process. Like I'm not a qualified journalist or anything like this. I do have Grammarly, which helps me to correct my grammar and correct my sentences. If I have time, I pass it to my friends or someone to proofread it in case whether the flow makes sense or whether the grammar is correct and everything in place before I publish it. And of course, there are so many online tutorials and videos to make your writing better. Yeah.
Cool. I think so. I think you have enough questions for the day now, right? I think we have properly grilled you over the session, so I think we should have we should wrap it up. Thanks again. Thank you, Thuy, for your time preparing for this session. I think all of us from VietPro, I'm reading the text from our messenger as well. All of us in VietPro find it very useful. And we would want to have a massive thank you to Thuy to walk us through on this journey to build our personal brand. And again, massive thank you to our audience as well for your participation. I know that there are quite a few people who are still listening in on Facebook stream. So thank you for staying with us. I think we are right on time. So let's wrap up. So thank you again, and remember to make a donation if you feel like it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone.